Please, Happy New Year to everybody. I'd like to do the roll call.
Nickel? Present. Whalen?
Present.
Fullwood? Present. Bash?
Present.
Hoover? Present.
Thank you. I seek a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
With the two things.
Do you want those as a part of that motion? And because, I mean, we have to sort of explain it. So if we do the agenda, then maybe we can just say there are two amendments to the agenda? Or do you want to do the amendments first? It's up to
However you
you.
want to do it, Lee, it's fine.
Okay. Well, let's just do it all as
Okay.
one motion then, okay? We have two amendments for the agenda. The first one is the election of officers, and the second one is as approval of our calendar for 2025.
I make the motion that we do the election
Okay,
and that we consider the two variances that are on our agenda.
okay,
I second it.
good. Nominations for officers?
I nominate Lee.
I second.
Perfect.
You're the man.
How about for a vice chair?
I nominate Renee.
You guys are stinkers.
I would wholeheartedly agree to that.
Well, I accept. Thank you.
Thank you.
So do I. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the approval of the calendar, I hope you've all had a chance to look at the calendar and it looks okay to you, so it's approved. And then finally, approval of the agenda. And we have a
I second. Jen,
Okay,
Seconds, we're done.
great. So all in favor, say aye.
aye.
And opposed, same sign. And that passes. And then also seek motion on the approval of the minutes.
I approve minutes. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I'll second it.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that brings us to our first order of new business, which is to consider the variance request from Ethan Putney, pardon me, at 506 West Fourth Avenue from section 165.04 to allow a garage addition that will encompass more square footage than the principal structure and will not meet the rear yard setback requirements.
Thank you. The applicant in this case is Ethan Putney, and the project is proposed at 506 West Fourth Avenue. And they're seeking a variance or a couple of variances from the zoning ordinance to construct a garage addition at the rear of their garage. The first variance would be that the addition, when constructed to the existing garage, will cover more surface area than the principal structure, which is against the city ordinance. The addition will also encompass more than 10% of the total lot area, which it's 10.67% instead of 10%. And lastly, when we did our own measurements, we feel that the variance or that the garage addition will not meet the rear yard setback. So there's a series of variances for this addition. The addition is 28 by 22 square feet in area. That combined with the existing garage will be 1,400 square feet. So it's underneath that 1,800 square foot threshold for all detached accessory structures. These proposals don't conform to sections 165.04, 2E1, 2E2, and then 2D6. As you can see, the property is zoned R2, 1 and 2 family residential. That's the area outlined in red on the screen. So here are the code amendments that are applicable to this particular project. Detached accessory buildings and structures shall not be taller nor encompass more floor area than the principal structure. Accessory buildings and structures shall maintain a minimum distance of 5 feet from any lot lines. And then in total, accessory buildings shall not occupy more than 10% of the total lot area. So the 28 by 22 garage addition here at the north end of the site. There we go. So it's pretty close to that rear lot line back there.
In his drawing, he has it at 8 feet, but you don't think you think it's less than the 5 feet?
I think it's less than the 5 feet without a survey.
Yeah.
Can't tell for sure, but I mean, just based on doing measurements up on Beacon. From the back of the garage, this is just 21 feet here, and 28 across, 22. So there's 2-3 feet maybe back there. Again, without a survey, it's really hard to say. The current garage is 28 by 28, 784 square feet. The addition is proposed to be 616 square feet. I have a lot of other, not much else to present on. I've not received any correspondence for or against the request from any of the neighbors. All those mailings did go out by the deadline, and again, I've not received any of them, any responses back. Again, I've provided some findings of fact there at the back of the staff report. Again, I'll let you guys make the decision, but happy to take any questions. Also, the applicant is here. I've invited him to speak if he
So-
wishes.
Just to confirm, it's all there, his garage today is larger than his home.
Yeah.
Right, so that was, I mean,
Ready.
live in a house like this, so I just know, yeah.
So there would be two structures on the property that would be larger than the main dwelling.
Connect to the existing
It's gonna
structure,
be all connected, I think.
so it all become one.
Is there a home on the lot just to the north side?
It is, but it's in line with the one next to the garage, so it'd be connecting to their backyard as well.
I didn't think there was anything right behind it.
Just the yard.
Yeah, so
That one in the middle.
Yeah, right
So
there.
it's-
What's,
That's just yard. And Chew has offered to sell that to me.
How would that, just a question for the city, and yours, Bill, yours is gonna be a guess, but how could you ever use that for anything?
you can't unless they were providing
This
that.
is how it got, how
Yeah.
the lots got divided up at one point.
Yeah, something like these property owners could provide an access easement to a proposed developer to construct something back there if they wanted to. But as Ethan just said, they've offered to sell him that property, so it will likely never develop. He wants to put another building back there or something personal for his property.
And Ethan's here.
Yes.
Hey, Ethan. Hey.
Ethan, would you mind come up and stand there and just?
You get to
speak
introduce
with us,
yourself.
Please.
I'm
Yes. Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. First off, I like the idea that you're raising your roof, looking to expand the space to put a trailer in. And is it your work, may I just ask, because I'm inquisitive, your work trailer or a home trailer?
I mean, technically it's for work.
Okay.
But I'd like to create a driveway, more parking,
You
clean
have
up
more
the
parking,
area.
and I could see that when I could, yep. I used to live south of 92, so I understand the house sizes, so, and we built a garage and was too close to the house. So the staff report suggested putting on 10 feet on the front.
That's something that Tim had recommended, our building official.
Really?
I don't know if he-
I had a house, by the way, Ethan and I, it was too close to the house, so the garage we built was too close to the house because we didn't know enough.
Mhm.
So I was gonna say that was not a good recommendation for me.
No, I got plenty of room to back up, get behind the house in the garage, park the vehicle. So back behind me, I mow it. That's all I do with it.
And you understand the building code that you have to you're gonna be finishing the add-on piece and the rest of it to make it look similar in color and finish to the,
Correct. It will match the house. Right now, it's just vinyl white, but when I'm done, it'll be the hardy plank painted to match, all of that.
that's good, that's good. Just so somebody's not putting like a White Morton building in
Oh,
something
no,
else, yeah.
no,
yeah.
it'll be painted to match the house.
And I still have a question on the setback on the back, because it needs to be, Bill, is that right, 5 feet?
The code requires 5 feet.
Code is 5 feet.
So when I was measuring up Beacon roughly, what I went to was 22 feet, which would leave me that 8 feet. Because the property line goes to like the center of that garage to the house over. And so when I measured with my measuring wheel, 22 feet would leave me 8 foot still.
And Beacon's not entirely accurate, as you can.
It's not
Right.
Right.
As you can, it's me playing safe
great,
with you
yeah.
guys. But you can see that the line for the property line for it encompasses a sidewalk, but the sidewalk is public right away. So there's a couple of feet right there too.
And,
So
yeah, so it goes one way.
I had talked with the owners of the rentals and everything, and nobody's even sure property lines are.
Yeah,
exact.
I'm sure
Especially
that,
if there's nothing behind you.
Right, it's just open space. I need to get it surveyed for the property owner behind me. I'm willing to do that.
so probably. doesn't
Chew.
care. She doesn't probably care either.
He, like I said, he's offered that section that was portioned off in the house. He offered to sell that years ago, so. It
Is that
doesn't,
something you'd be open to?
I really don't want it. He doesn't want it. Everybody just kind of turns mowing. So,
That's, yeah, that's what neighbors do,
Good
isn't it?
neighbors,
Good
good
neighbors,
neighborhood.
good neighbors.
Thing looking good.
yep.
As somebody on the Board of Adjustment, I know you were mentioning it earlier, we don't like to have variances. Or we don't like to be a rubber, I don't personally don't like to be the rubber stamp, but. And I know it's the 10.67, I don't think that, to me, that's not a big deal. It is gonna be bigger than your home, but your garage today is bigger than your home, so if we add on some more, you're gonna make the neighborhood look better.
Do I understand that this addition is actually gonna look like a single unit?
Still gonna look, yeah. So the back wall will come out and it'll all become 50 deep total. with the
One big
addition.
building.
One big building.
Yeah.
With the raised roof.
Right. So it's not gonna look like two that are kind of,
No.
it's going to look as though it's a
When I
single.
reside it, everything will flow just like it was built originally.
Okay,
So the house, the existing garage and the new shed, and just for my own, benefit here, will all be attached
Yep.
and all with the same siding, so it will all look like one big,
One structure like it was originally built, you won't be able to tell there was an addition.
okay.
And it'll have a concrete floor.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep. All that, all the
Assume so.
permits for everything else.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, then thank you, and I would call the vote.
I move that we approve this variance for the the 10.67, greater than 10%, greater square footage. Correct me if I have to come back and do it the other way. And however, but it does need to be within the variance to the lot line. So if you end up, that's my motion.
Yes.
I'll let somebody
Your
second.
second?
Second it.
Thank you.
So if you have to make it shorter, to make it, you have to have the 5 feet to the lot line.
That sounds to me like you want to have
That
A
would be
caveat?
a
surveyed.
survey.
Oh, I don't want to have a survey though. In your best judgment with the neighbor where the lot line is, can we do that?
I can talk to you and he's not gonna bother him.
I mean, since it's an empty lot.
I
back there that
understand,
we can't
right,
get to.
right.
we'll get a more official site plan once he reapplies for a building permit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so subject to some surprise, we're assuming that there's a little bit of leeway here, 5 to 8 feet, and as long as it looks as though it's gonna meet those expectations,
Mhm.
you're gonna be satisfied with
Yes.
that. That's what I hear in your motion.
Yes.
And do we have a second for that?
Either.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We need to take a vote on that?
roll.
I prefer roll calls for these types of
I
things.
think we do, don't we? That's right.
I
I'm
always
sorry.
did them when I was chair.
That's right, we do. I'm sorry.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Whalen,
Yes.
Goldwich,
Yes.
Bash,
Yes,
Hoover. Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
That passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And that brings us to number 2, the Here it is. Consider variance request from James Boltzman at 203 North Kenwood Boulevard in section 165.04 to allow a third detached accessory structure on the property.
Thank you. So again, the applicant is James Boltman, and they're looking for permission to erect a third detached accessory structure on the property at 203 North Kenwood. Back in 1980, there was a detached garage that was constructed in front of the house without any type of connection to the house, rendering it detached. And there's also that a barn that was built in the 1940s back there that he would prefer to not tear down to to
Historically.
to meet the ordinance there. So the preference, Mr. Boldman has proposed to install the shed in front of the barn there. He has almost 2.5 acres. So size wise, it's not a concern. The property is zoned R1. It's 130 feet wide by 108 feet deep, give or take. With the addition of the new shed, the total square footage of all the accessory structures is under 1,600 square feet, so it's under that 1,800-foot threshold. This is the part of the ordinance that applies to his project. Accessory buildings and structures shall be limited to a maximum of two total buildings in total, including a garage. So again, he's just looking to add the third one in front of the shed or in front of the barn without having to tear down the barn. All the neighboring notices went out on December 27th, and I've not received any correspondence for or against this request either. The shed will be about 150 feet from the front property line, very visible from the street. I drove past it today. But again, it's very far back. He kind of the raw end of a deal with the way the garage was built in the front of the property. You can kind of see on the map, it's just a little awkward up there in the front. So happy to take any questions. The applicant is in attendance tonight. I'd invite him to come up and speak if he has anything else to add.
I don't have anything more to add than I said you added, unless you guys have questions or discussion points, I guess, but I guess I would like to keep the barn just because I think it's kind of neat to have if there's an opportunity to build the shed though. The barn's just not the most like functional for like what you would want to keep mice and bats and stuff out. But
So I have two questions. First, Bill, I have a question for you. If the first the garage, which today in code, they wouldn't let you do that, but if that was connected with a breezeway, it'd be one structure.
Yeah. There's about 5 feet between them.
Yeah,
Or so.
there's a breezeway over the top, you don't want structure. Secondly, how are you gonna get back to it?
just through the yard, as far as like that would go, like for like mower and utility trailer and stuff, I guess I store my utility trailer.
So it's really storage of, you said that storage of gardening, a tractor, I imagine if you gotta mow that or,
Yeah, 4-wheeler, utility trailer.
so you just drive across the lawn for the little bit you have to do.
Yeah.
Will you see the barn from the street if the shed, the structure is in front of it?
Probably not. I mean, it would be within the same footprint as the barn, a little bit offset, because that barn is closer to the property line than
That's what I thought from.
2
the-
feet.
Yeah.
I
Like,
drove
probably
by
like
and looked, but I thought.
2 feet. You can't
really
even run a
won't
mower
see it.
between the property.
You won't even see
line,
it
which-
because it's in front of it.
Will the finish of the new structure be the same as the house?
Be the same color. It's a brick house. So I have the plans of like what I would like to do as far as the shed would go. And I have like a wood floor, and I would like to use like tan colored tin that matches the color of the house is what I would like to do, and I've got the, like proposed, estimate design for that with me too, if you guys would be interested in seeing that. I think.
We
I
are
might-
interested in seeing it. We're very concerned that it all looks like it belongs together. That it's, that.
For continuity purposes.
Continuity for consistency.
Because if I bring up that piece of the code, and I did find that, I mentioned to Bill, I found that on the website, the thing I'm always looking for and I didn't know was there. There is something that shows what the code is in, I'll say layman's terms, but it must be similar or identical quality and color of that found in the principal structure. So,
It doesn't mean it has to be brick, but
right, but, and the garage is siding. So I would think it would be, should be similar to that. And did you say it's gonna have a wood floor?
Yeah, it'll be like a wood floor, like, it's just a utility shed is
It's
what
a
I would
utility
be.
shed.
Has like planning on putting like on a gravel pad on 6x6 runners with a wood floor is what I didn't think.
So what will the facade look like? Will it look like the garage or?
The outside of it.
Material. Mhm.
What I've planned would be like tin, and show you a picture of what it
these
would.
two.
Yes.
Bill, is that a variance to the code? Because the roof line is different than that of the home. Is that supposed to be, I mean, is that all supposed to, this is a hip roof?
How tall will this door be?
I mean, does it go that, I mean, and this is a shed, so I understand that.
Okay, so it won't be any taller.
It's side shed, isn't it?
From the sidewall's gonna be 8.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
See where the roof would
Um,
start here and then normal roofs would be like a
Regular.
7
like a
foot, like
booth.
2-car
The
garage.
square footage of the shed gonna be?
Very good. Thank you.
600.
600 square feet. Oh, 20 by 30. Like a garage. Variable materials such as rough siding and transcripts. So if we come back and say it needs to be sided like the garage, not brick, but sided like the garage. So that we don't have 3 different building materials there besides a red barn.
As close as possible. Sometimes those die lots are a little off.
Yeah, but we
Right,
don't,
right.
it doesn't have to match perfectly, but it,
Or paint it towards and side it versus tin. I mean, I'm sure that's probably an extra expense for it.
Yeah, I guess that would be, what I'd be looking at is like extra expense and depending on siding, like maintenance as well. I guess is why I would prefer to go with tin. If I move the location of it further back, would that, so it's not visible from the road, would that make a difference?
So you think we're behind the red barn?
Yeah, the only problem with behind the red barn is water sits there. So it would,
If you were to move it more towards the north, is that what you're thinking? Like closer to like directly behind the house?
no, so like the area behind the house is a garden area. So like the area where I proposed is the flattest part of my yard.
Okay,
So that's why I proposed it there, because it would be the best place. It's just as flat behind the barn as well. It's just, that's where water congregates and sits,
Are
so.
there trees today that would hide it from the road?
Oh, there's a big, like along the property line, there's a few trees and I've got a big oak tree, but it wouldn't necessarily hide
I
it
was gonna say
from the
whatever.
road.
In fact, it looked like you were cleaning up some trees or something that, to get back there even.
Yeah, I've had a maple tree that was, a couple maple trees that were taken down this week behind the house, and then one to the north of the house as well that were dying, so.
So this does pose a problem for us. I mean, you've already got an outlying building that doesn't meet the code in terms of looking consistent with the house.
Yeah.
And therefore, much of a variance is going to mean three distinctive buildings when you're not supposed to have three on your property in the first place that look dissimilar. So it poses a real problem for us to be able to do that. And for us to have credibility with our peers throughout the city too. I mean, that's what these standards are for in the first place. And you know, one solution would be to paint the barn, but I don't think you want to do that. So we're not suggesting that. But we are gonna have, this outbuilding is going to have to look consistent with the house and garage. I think that's the very least that we would, I think I'm speaking for everybody, that we would
That's what I would
insist
think.
that it takes place for us to accept this.
Well, I guess it is a question. I mean, you indicated probably don't want to paint the barn, but is painting the barn an option? And would we be okay with color versus material?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an option. Maybe that's the first question.
I guess I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just typically I guess the barn would have been there before the house, and red's kind of like the traditional color of the barn. So I guess that's what,
And I'm just throwing this out there, not that it's right, wrong, or whatever. What if the shed were red to match the barn? Would that be weird?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the neighbor, I mean,
Yeah, I know. I just had to throw it out
You
there.
need to look at all options.
I had to throw
I
it.
agree. I
Yeah,
think it's good for you to bring that up.
Unique.
But
Because
again.
we're trying to do what's best for the neighbors.
We are.
Exactly.
But we have to start with what code says too. You know,
The
I mean,
code
you
says
just saw we
existing
approved
building
another
materials.
proposal and we talked about how it's important to look like it belongs with the rest of the property. So it's not gonna have a hip roof. Okay, but it does still need to look like it belongs with your garage and your house.
Because it does, that's the other piece in it, the accessory building structure must match the style and design of the principal structure.
so
House.
if I was to just like side it similar to the garage, you would be on board with it then. Okay.
I think so. I
Right.
don't think
Yeah,
that's,
That would make more sense.
that would
I'd be
certainly
okay.
be.
With it not having to be the
Home.
same
Right.
architectural structure, but at least the finish would look similar
Right.
Exactly.
for the
Right.
for the neighbors, neighborhood.
Okay. Cause I guess my question for that would be is if you go like, everyone on like my side of the road, there's several outbuildings that are like sized that are Morton buildings that have 10 on them that are like probably the size of my house. I've got one even across the street that was put up in the last couple of years. So like that's where I feel like 10's not that much out of place compared to several other structures on the street.
The one that was put, first off, can I jump in?
Absolutely.
Other ones just that's there doesn't create a precedent. So if we create an exception, it's an exception for that piece of property. And that was kind of, it had some other extenuating reasons why that one ended up being approved, but yeah. And I guess that's it.
Okay.
But you're right. I do agree. And you can drive around Indianola many places and see ones that you wonder how they ever got approved or if they did get approved or somebody built them. But if you were going to move into a new neighborhood and people had a house there and had multiple structures and they were all had different finishes, you'd say, gosh, is that what I'm looking for? I understand the barn and the, as you said, potentially the historical piece to it.
So even if I took the barn down, the finish on the building was still gonna have to be the same no
Supposed
matter
to be,
what.
yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Or even if you put hook the house and the garage together in breezeway, then you'd still have to have the finish. So even if we say it's okay to have 3 buildings
Right.
versus 2, it's the structure and style and then the exterior finish, besides being less than 1,800 feet, which you are.
Is there a problem with making it the color of the garage? Just curious. I mean,
Um,
is there,
The shed, it's
Yeah,
like
materials.
yeah, the material.
the material, I guess, is
Just was-
is the
that what you
main thing,
planned?
I guess, that
Okay,
I would
gotcha.
be going after. Well, I would prefer, the color, I try to get it to match as
Yeah.
close as possible to what they had available. So it would basically have a shingle roof like the house and then basically to match the garage, like the same shingles and exterior to match the 2-car detached garage then. Okay,
Right.
yeah. I mean, if that's the only way to go, I'd probably go forth with doing that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 3 structures on the lot because of the other reasonings. However, it does need to comply with the exterior finish. Not have to have the same, match the style, but it does have to have an exterior finish similar to, I'm gonna say, the garage. It doesn't have to be brick.
I'll second that motion.
Okay,
Good luck writing that one down. It's succinct, but I'm not sure it did.
are there any other questions or comments? And we'll call the question and have the roll call, please.
Mitchell? Yes. Whalen?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Hoover? Yes.
So that stipulation will stand so that you'll know to expect that when we have approved it. Congratulations.
Good job.
We'll keep an eye on it for when Tim goes to inspect it. And
Please.
And you have one of those unique lots.
Yes, you do.
You do a lot of mowing.
Yeah, it is very nice. As far as like the exterior of it, I guess the question, if it's gonna match the siding on the garage, if I went with like like, I think the garage is like a metal siding, if I went with a vinyl siding instead of a metal siding, that
It
would match
says-
it, that would still be the same.
It's say similar, it doesn't say exact.
It says similar, and
Similar.
you don't have to replicate it. It just has to look like it's
Belongs.
all consistent, that there's a sense of continuity on the property,
I mean,
okay?
must
Sounds
also be
good, 'cause we're also
similar and
looking at-
identical. It says identical quality,
Right.
similar with identical quality
Okay.
as found on the principal structure.
So you have a lot of flexibility under those circumstances.
As long as it looks similar, but
That's
like,
right.
material of it.
That's right.
Okay. So I guess the next, or I don't know if this is the time to ask this, like the next steps, I guess, would be is like to kind of like re-put together like the exterior of my design here, and then it would be eligible to apply for a permit then through your guys' office.
Yeah, you're done with these guys. You'll just work,
We're dismissed.
you'll just work with community development and.
Something to
Okay, that's it.
celebrate,
Okay,
okay? Congratulations.
yeah,
Good job.
thank you guys.
Great. Before I call for adjournment, we'd like to have a meeting about something else, Bill.
Or should we do?
I think we should adjourn first.
Yes, I think so. So I'll call for adjournment, please.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.